Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host.
And I'm Julia, your co-host. We're so excited you're here today.
Yes! In today's episode, we're talking about something that can completely change the way you speak English: how to train your brain to think in English.
Exactly. Many learners study grammar and vocabulary, but they still translate from their native language before they speak. That makes English feel slow and stressful.
Right? But when you train your brain to think directly in English, everything becomes smoother. You speak faster, you understand better, and you feel more confident.
And the good news is, you don't have to be perfect or advanced to start. In this episode, we'll share simple, practical steps to help you think in English naturally.
We'll also talk about common mistakes learners make, and at the end, we'll give you a small practice activity you can do right away.
So stay with us for the next 24 minutes. We promise it's going to be useful and motivating.
All right, let's get started. So, Julia, before we teach our listeners how to train their brains, let's talk about why this is so important.
Good idea. You know, a lot of learners spend years studying English, but when it's time to speak, they freeze or translate from their native language. That's normal, but it slows everything down.
Exactly. Imagine trying to drive a car while reading the manual at the same time. That's what translating feels like. It makes speaking stressful and slow.
When you train your brain to think directly in English, you skip the translation step. Your ideas flow naturally, your sentences come faster, and you sound more confident.
And it's not just about speaking faster. Thinking in English also improves listening, because when your brain is already in English mode, you understand others more easily without mentally translating every word.
That's true. And there's another benefit: you start to feel the language. You pick up patterns, expressions, and even the rhythm of English naturally, just like a native speaker does.
It's like building a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. Soon, English becomes your default for certain situations: ordering coffee, texting friends, or even thinking about your plans.
And that's what we want for our listeners. We want English to feel like a natural part of your daily life, not just something from a textbook.
Exactly. So now that you know why this matters, let's talk about the first step to actually train your brain to think in English. All right, Julia, let's dive into our first step, starting with simple words and phrases. Why do you think this is so important?
Because if you try to think in very complicated English from the beginning, you'll get frustrated. Starting simple helps your brain get comfortable.
Exactly. Think about how children learn their first language. They don't start with long, difficult sentences. They start with short, easy words like eat, go, or play.
Right. And our listeners can do the same. For example, instead of trying to think, I should perhaps go to the store to purchase some groceries, you can start with, I go to the store or I buy food. Simple and clear.
And when you're alone, you can practice thinking about what you're doing using these short phrases. Like, if you're walking to the bus, say in your head, I walk to the bus. If you're eating lunch, think, I eat lunch.
Exactly. This trains your brain to connect daily actions with English words directly, no translation needed.
Another tip: use words you already know well. Don't worry about grammar mistakes at this stage. Just get used to thinking in English with what you have.
Yes. Later you can build longer sentences, but at the beginning, simple words and phrases are enough to create that English thinking habit.
So listeners, pick a few easy words or phrases today and try to describe your actions in English as you go through your day.
That's the first step to building a strong English thinking brain.
Perfect. Now let's move to our second step: practicing inner dialogues in English. Okay, Julia. Now we're at step 2, practicing inner dialogues in English. This one is powerful, but many learners don't know about it.
Yes, inner dialogue simply means the little conversations you have with yourself in your head. Everyone does it in their own language, but you can do it in English too.
Exactly. For example, when you're planning your day, you might normally think, I need to go to the bank. Try saying that in English inside your head, I need to go to the bank.
Or imagine you're at the supermarket. Instead of thinking in your language, should I buy bread or rice? Think in English, should I buy bread or rice? It feels strange at first, but it gets easier.
And you can even imagine both sides of a short conversation. For instance, picture you're at a cafe ordering coffee. In your head, you say, Hello, can I have a coffee, please? And then imagine the cashier answering, Sure, what size?
This exercise is great because it prepares you for real situations. You're basically rehearsing in English without pressure.
Another tip. Do it in small bits during the day. 1 or 2 sentences at a time is enough. Don't try to do long stories at the beginning.
Yes, keep it simple, but consistent. The more you do it, the faster your brain will switch into English automatically.
So listeners, start today. Pick a moment, have a short talk with yourself in English, and see how it feels.
This step alone can change your fluency over time.
Absolutely. And once you're used to inner dialogues, the next step will make things even more powerful. Surrounding yourself with English input. Now that you're practicing inner dialogues, let's move to step 3, surrounding yourself with English input. Julia, why is this so important?
Because your brain needs a lot of examples to copy from. The more you hear and see English, the more natural it becomes. It's like being in an English-speaking country without leaving your home.
Exactly. Think about how we learned our first language. We were surrounded by it all the time. That constant exposure built our listening and speaking skills automatically.
So, how can our listeners do this if they live in a non-English environment? Easy, fill your day with English. Listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, turn on English subtitles when you watch movies.
Yes, even small things count. Change your phone's language to English, follow English pages on social media, or listen to English music on your way to work.
And don't just passively listen. Try to notice how words and phrases are used. Pay attention to tone, pronunciation, and expressions.
Right. This way, your brain starts to absorb the patterns and rhythm of English naturally, without studying grammar rules all the time.
Another tip is to repeat what you hear. If a podcast host says, "Good morning, everyone," pause and say it yourself. This makes your brain and mouth work together.
So listeners, make English part of your environment today. Even 10 or 15 minutes here and there can make a big difference.
The more English your brain hears, the easier it becomes to think in it automatically.
Exactly. And once you're surrounded by English input, you're ready for our next step using micro moments during the day to practice. All right, step 4 is one of my favorites, using micro moments during the day. Julia, what do we mean by micro moments?
They're those small pieces of free time you have during the day, waiting for the bus, standing in line at the store, brushing your teeth, walking to work.
Exactly. Those tiny breaks are perfect for quick English practice. You don't need an hour, you just need a minute or 2.
For example, while waiting for the elevator, describe what you see in English: "The elevator is coming," or "I'm on the 5th floor."
Or when you're cooking, think "I cut the onions," or "I add salt." These small sentences train your brain to switch into English naturally.
And because the practice is short, it's easy to keep doing it every day. Over time, all those micro moments add up to big progress.
Yes. So listeners, don't wait for the perfect study time. Use the little pockets of time you already have to think in English.
It's like turning your daily life into an English classroom, simple but powerful.
Great! Now that you're using micro moments, our next step is to stop translating and start associating. Okay, listeners, now we're at step 5, stop translating, start associating. Julia, this one's a real game changer, isn't it?
It really is. Most learners translate in their heads, first think in their own language, then change it into English. That slows everything down and can make you nervous.
Exactly. Instead of translating, you want to associate English words directly with ideas, pictures, or feelings. For example, when you hear the word apple, don't think of the word in your language. Picture an apple immediately.
Right. Or if you learn the word happy, try to feel the emotion of being happy rather than thinking of the translation. This creates a direct link between the English word and the meaning.
And it's faster. When you see a dog, your brain just says dog, not that animal translated. This is how native speakers think.
A good way to practice is to use flashcards with pictures instead of your native language, or label things around your home in English: mirror, door, cup. Each time you see it, say the English word.
Also, listen carefully to how words are used in context. For example, instead of memorizing run equals reist in your language, notice sentences like run fast, run a business, run out of time. Context helps you form direct connections.
Yes. The more you practice association, the less you'll translate. Your brain starts to operate in English naturally, like it's your second nature.
So listeners, starting today, try to connect new words directly to images, sounds, and feelings, not translations.
This is a key step for real fluency.
Absolutely. And once you're associating instead of translating, you're ready for step 6, speaking out loud to reinforce your thinking. All right, everyone. We've reached step 6, speaking out loud to reinforce your thinking. Julia, why does saying things out loud matter so much?
Because when you speak out loud, you're training both your brain and your mouth at the same time. Thinking in English is great, but when you also say it, you strengthen the habit even more.
Exactly. It's like exercise. Reading about push-ups won't make you strong, but actually doing push-ups will. Speaking out loud is your push-up for English thinking.
That's a great way to put it. For example, if you're walking down the street and thinking, I'm walking to the bus stop, actually whisper it or say it softly to yourself.
Or if you're at home, describe what you're doing aloud. I'm cooking rice. I'm cleaning my room. The key is to connect the thought to your voice.
Another tip: record yourself. Speak a few sentences you're thinking and then listen back. This helps you notice pronunciation and builds confidence.
Yes, and don't worry if you're alone and feel a bit silly. Even talking to yourself quietly counts. The goal is to make English flow naturally from your mind to your mouth.
Over time, this practice removes hesitation. You think in English, you say it in English, and soon it feels automatic.
Exactly. So listeners, start today. Choose a few sentences you're already thinking in English and say them out loud, even quietly.
This step will lock in the habit of thinking in English and turn it into real speaking fluency.
Perfect. Now that you're speaking out loud, let's talk about some common mistakes learners make when trying to think in English. Okay, listeners, before we wrap up our steps, let's talk about some common mistakes people make when trying to think in English. Julia, what's the first one you see a lot?
The biggest one is trying to be perfect from the start. Many learners think, if I don't know the exact grammar or word, I can't think in English. That's not true. It's okay to think in simple sentences or even use easy words.
Exactly. Another mistake is overloading your brain. Some learners try to translate long, complicated sentences in their heads right away. That makes them tired and frustrated.
Yes. Start small, like we said earlier. Short thoughts first, then longer ones later.
Another common mistake is only practicing when they feel ready. They wait for the perfect time or perfect place. But thinking in English works best in daily life, not just during study sessions.
And one more, being afraid to make mistakes. Thinking in English is a skill you build step by step. Mistakes are part of learning.
Exactly. So listeners, avoid these traps. Don't demand perfection. Don't overload. Don't wait for the perfect time. And don't fear mistakes.
If you focus on progress, not perfection, you'll see your brain naturally start to think in English.
Great advice. Now let's give our listeners a little motivation and show them how this connects to real life. All right, Julia, now let's give our listeners some motivation and show how thinking in English connects to real life.
Absolutely. The key is to remember that thinking in English isn't just a study exercise. It affects your confidence, your speed, and even your opportunities.
For example, imagine you're traveling or attending an international meeting. If your brain is already thinking in English, you can respond quickly without pausing or translating. That's a huge advantage.
Yes, and it's not only for big situations. Even simple things like ordering food, talking to classmates, or texting friends become easier and more natural.
The more you practice thinking in English, the more automatic it becomes. Soon, English stops feeling like a foreign language and starts feeling like a natural part of your day.
And remember, progress may feel slow at first, but every little step counts. Every micro moment, every inner dialogue, every out-loud sentence adds up.
Exactly. So listeners, stay consistent, be patient, and trust the process. Your brain will adapt, and thinking in English will become second nature.
That's right. And now, let's give our listeners a short practice activity they can do immediately to start building this habit.
All right, listeners, it's time for a quick practice activity you can do right now to start training your brain to think in English.
Yes, it's simple and only takes a few minutes. Pick something you're doing right now. It could be walking, eating, or even sitting at your desk.
Then, start describing your actions in English. For example, I am walking to the kitchen, or I am eating my sandwich.
Next, try to add one or two thoughts about what's happening. For example, I like this sandwich, or I need to get some water.
You can also practice a short inner dialogue. Imagine you're talking to someone, for example. Hi, how are you? I am fine, thank you. And you?
Remember, don't worry about mistakes or grammar. The goal is to get your brain used to thinking in English.
Do this for a few minutes today and make it a daily habit. The more you practice, the easier it will become to think in English automatically.
Exactly. Little steps every day lead to big results.
Perfect. Now let's wrap up with our outro. All right, listeners, that's it for today's episode on how to train your brain to think in English. We hope you found these tips helpful and practical.
Yes. Remember, start simple. Practice inner dialogues. Surround yourself with English. Use micro moments. Associate words directly. And speak out loud. Little steps every day make a big difference.
Don't forget to try the mini practice activity we shared today. It's a great way to get started immediately.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the English Learning Podcast and share it with your friends.
We'll see you in the next episode with more tips to help you speak English naturally and confidently.
Goodbye, everyone. Keep practicing and keep thinking in English.